Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to the Murder Files podcast. I'm your host, Buffy Gunner. Murder File 12 will be covering the murder of Azsia Johnson along with our featured missing person, Tiffany Foster Starks. Let's go ahead and get started. Hey everyone, it's Buffy. Welcome back. So, before we get started, I just wanted to tell you guys if you guys do like what you hear, you can go ahead and subscribe. There is a subscribe button somewhere on the on our anchor page, and go ahead and share it out to friends so more people can learn about the podcast. Also, I'm looking for a co-host, so if you guys want to join me, I would love to have someone on with me. Let's go ahead and talk. Just message me on Facebook and I'll answer it. Message the Illicit Deeds page. You could also message the Murder Files page. I made a Murder Files page for Facebook. So you guys can do that. But let's go ahead and get started with our story. So this story comes out of Manhattan, New York. And when it first hit, what was I doing? I was actually doing another story when it came across my notifications, and I was just like, wait a minute, a woman pushing a stroller. So I was like, okay, let me go ahead and click it and see what's going on, because this sounds crazy already. And lo and behold, it's a crazy story. So this girl basically went to go meet with her baby daddy for something, and he decided that he wanted to kill her. Crazy. But let me go ahead and read the latest article from PIX 11, and this is they're a New York news station, but I'm not exactly sure where they're based. I know they do a lot of articles out of Buffalo. But let's go ahead and get started with this article. It says, murder of Azsia Johnson was a premeditated execution, prosecutors say. In the request to remand bail from defendant Isaac Argro, prosecutors describe his alleged murder of Azsia Johnson as a premeditated execution. 22-year-old Argro was arrested Friday and charged with murder and criminal possession of a weapon. According to prosecutors, the night of June 29th, Argro asked Johnson, the mother of his 3-month-old daughter, to meet him under the guise that he wanted to give her items for the baby. Instead, he allegedly showed up empty-handed and wearing all black. That's when Argro allegedly shot 20-year-old Johnson in the head, leaving his crying daughter in a stroller as he ran away. Before her death, prosecutors said John texted someone else exactly where she was meeting Argro. She also described what he was wearing, and that description matched the witness accounts. Prosecutors said Argro ditched his all-black outfit after the attack. Following Johnson's death, Argro allegedly called members of her family and asked about his child. During one of those calls, he allegedly threatened someone, telling them that they were next. Let me pause right there. Ain't that about a bitch? How you just gonna threaten these people after you done already killed their daughter or their niece or whoever you was talking to, and you just think that you was just gonna rock out with that was gonna be okay, and wasn't nothing gonna happen? That's why I'm glad your ass in jail now, weirdos. Anyways, let's keep going. Johnson's mother, Lisa DeSort, told Pix 11 News she believed Argro was responsible as soon as she heard her daughter was killed. She described Argro and Johnson's relationship as violent, adding the city failed to protect Johnson. Police said it's not harassment, he's just mad, DeSort said during a vigil on Thursday. I said no, he's going to kill my daughter, and he killed my daughter. That's all I'm going to say. In their request to remand bail, prosecutors said the couple had a history of domestic violence. When Johnson was 7 months pregnant, Argro allegedly assaulted her in Queens County. He fled after the alleged attack, and prosecutors said Johnson can be seen crying with bruises to her face on police body camera video. The complaint for that incident, which happened in January, is still open. Our girl also threatened the victim's family members during the pendency of their relationship, and the family had been worried about the victim's well-being, officials wrote. While Arguro does not have a criminal record, he does have 3 youthful offender adjunctions for sexual misconduct, possession of stolen property, and larceny. Those incidents date back to 2015, officials said. He was also led into a Manhattan criminal court on Friday night. Arguro told reporters he's innocent. So that's the end of that article. But there is another article about, let's see, his court date. So let's go ahead and read that. Stroller pushing New York City mom, alleged killer held without bail. The ex-boyfriend of a New York City woman shot dead as she pushed her infant daughter in a stroller, has been ordered jailed without bail in a shooting prosecutors describe as premeditated execution. Isaac Arguro appeared Saturday night in Manhattan criminal court on charges of second-degree murder and second-degree weapons possession. Prosecutor Brittany DeCesar told Judge Eric give me a minute. It's Shoemaker. Okay. Judge Eric Shoemaker, the 22-year-old Arguro, dressed in all black and wore a ski mask as he paced back and forth, waiting to kill Azsia Johnson, his estranged girlfriend. The baby was not injured. Messages were left with Arguro's defense attorney seeking comment. Johnson's mother, Lisa DeSort, told Pix 11 News she believed Arguro was responsible as soon as she heard her daughter was killed. She described Arguro and Johnson's relationship as violent. Police said it's not harassment, he's just mad. So basically, they just repeated what they said in the last article. So we know he's being held without bail, which is a good thing, because we all knows what happened. They get out on that bail, and they do something else that's stupid. Anyways, but here's my thoughts on it. If you have an abusive baby daddy, never meet with him alone. Never. Matter of fact, meet with him on the inside of a police station if possible. You still want to have someone with you though, because they won't be paying attention to what's going on. They probably will, but everybody doing their own thing these days and into their devices and everything. So you just want to make sure you have someone with you that's going to be paying attention so they can be an actual witness. However, she definitely did good by at least letting someone know where she was going, with who, and what he was wearing. Which makes me believe she knew something was off. And if that's the way she felt, I wish she would have gone off that gut feeling and not even agreed to the meetup. Because we got to follow our gut, y'all. If it leads you in the right direction, I know mine does. Because if my gut tell me something, I ain't doing it. Ladies and gentlemen, we also have to pay attention to looks. Now, I'm not saying looks are everything. I'm not saying go for the most beautiful woman and the most handsome man. That's not the looks I'm talking about. But I'm talking about that look when you look in somebody's eyes and you just be thinking in your head like, damn, this motherfucker look crazy. Start following that because usually it's right. And I'm speaking from experience. I'm not speaking because I think I know everything. Nah, I'm speaking from experience because when I was in my 20s, I had a crazy boyfriend. And all I knew was he was the most finest man I've ever seen. But I didn't pay attention to what them eyes was trying to tell me. That motherfucker was crazy, y'all. Like, I had a whole shotgun pointed at my head one night. I swear to God. I'm so glad I got away from him. But anyways, also, start valuing your bodies too. Be careful who you give yourself to. You create these soul ties with people, then it quickly becomes a trauma bond. Those are real. Not only that, watch who you have kids by. Ain't no way anyone can tell me he looked like he will be father of the year. Child, please. Far from it. Everyone just isn't deserving of you. Period. You have to start truly loving yourself first. And when you truly love yourself first, you can tell who's for you and who's not for you. Because of the how you value you. You know what I'm saying? Now, reading through my comment section was interesting to say the least. The amount of victim blaming is appalling. Not all the men, I wouldn't say that, because there were a lot of men that was not with it at all. But some of them made up their own scenarios instead of actually reading the article, finding out what happened, and blaming this girl. You can't blame people for what other people decide to do. It's just like the whole Will and Jada situation. How are y'all blaming Jada for Will slapping that man? She didn't tell him to go up there and slap him. He did that. So, didn't nobody tell this man to go and kill his baby mama? Didn't nobody tell him to go and shoot Asia in the head in front of their kid and leave their kid just right there helpless? Like, y'all really weird for that. And I'm not even going to speak up on what they said. I just know this. The next time, just like I did with that, victim blaming, that'll get you banned off my page. Because that's just ridiculous. Only little boys and little girls have temper tantrums. Grown-ass men and grown-ass women don't. We know how to communicate. And that's what we do instead of going and go kill somebody and throwing our whole lives away. Because I know I'm not throwing my whole life away for nobody. Period. Domestic violence can take many forms, including emotional, sexual, and physical abuse, as well as threats of abuse. Abuse by a partner can happen to anyone, but domestic violence is most often directed towards women. Domestic violence can happen in heterosexual and same-sex relationships. Abusive relationships always involve an imbalance of power and control. An abuser uses intimidating, hurtful words and behaviors to control a partner. It might not be easy to identify domestic violence at first. While some relationships are clearly abusive from the outset, abuse often starts subtly and it gets worse over time. You might be experiencing domestic violence in your relationship with someone who calls your names, insults you or puts you down, prevents or discourages you from going to work or school or seeing family members and friends, tries to take control of how you spend your money, where you go, what medicines you take, or even what you wear, acts jealous or possessive, or constantly accuses you of being unfaithful, getting angry when drinking alcohol or using drugs, threatens you with violence or a weapon, hits, kicks, shoves, slaps, chokes, or otherwise hurts you, your children, or your pets, forces you to have sex or engage in sexual acts against your will, and blames you for his or her violent behavior or tells you that you deserve it. If you're in an abusive situation, you might recognize this pattern. Your abuser threatens violence, your abuser strikes, your abuser apologizes, promises to change, and offers you gifts, and then guess what? The cycle repeats itself. The longer you stay in an abusive relationship, the greater the physical and emotional toll. You might become depressed and anxious, or might begin to doubt your ability to take care of yourself. You might feel helpless or paralyzed. You may also wonder if the abuse is your fault. It's never your fault. A common point of confusion among survivors of domestic abuse that may take more time and make it difficult to seek help. The only way to break the cycle of domestic violence is to take action. Start by telling somebody about the abuse, whether it's a friend, a loved one, your doctor, or a close contact. You can also call the National Domestic Violence Hotline. At first, you might find it hard to talk about the abuse, But understand that you are not alone, and there are experts who can help you. You'll also likely feel relief and receive much needed support. Leaving an abuser can be dangerous, so consider taking these precautions. Call a women's shelter or domestic violence hotline for advice. Make the call at a safe time when the abuser isn't around, or from a friend's house or another safe location. Pack an emergency bag that includes items you'll need when you leave, such as extra clothes and keys. Leave the bag in a safe place. Keep important personal papers, money, and prescription medications handy so you can take them with you on short notice. Know exactly where you go and how you get there. Now, an abuser can use technology to monitor your telephone and online communication to track your location. If you're concerned for your safety, seek help. To maintain your privacy, use your phone cautiously. Use your home computer cautiously. Turn off your GPS devices. Frequently change your email password, even your social media passwords, and clear your search history. Now, I'm going to tell you guys where you can find help if you are going through a domestic situation. In an emergency, call 911 or your local emergency number or law enforcement agency. The following resources can also help: someone you trust. Turn to a friend, loved one, neighbor, coworker, or religious or spiritual advisor for support. The Domestic Violence Hotline, their number is 800-799-7233. It's a toll-free number, so you can call from anywhere. Your healthcare provider. They'll typically treat injuries and can refer you to safe housing and other local resources. And a local's women's shelter or crisis center. Shelters and crisis center typically provide 24-hour emergency shelter as well as advice on legal matters and advocacy and support service. You can also talk to a counseling or a mental health center as well as a local court. So I hope if you're listening to this and you're going through something like this or know someone going through this, give them all this information because it can definitely help. Trust me. But I'm going to go ahead and play the news clips now. And then I'll keep Johnson's family in my prayers because this is ridiculous. Ain't no reason why this girl should be dead because of some dude and his anger issues. I don't really know what it's about because they haven't said what happened to make him do this, if anything, because we all know that it doesn't take a lot or it doesn't take anything at all. All it takes is a thought from them. But yeah, I hope and pray that her mom can get through this someday. I hope and pray that when her daughter does get older, she'll know how to cope with everything, because she's gonna grow up not even knowing her mother. That's sad. 3 months old. But here's the news clips, you guys.
Community still heartbroken and upset over the death of 20-year-old Azsia Johnson.
Yeah, she was shot and killed while pushing a stroller on the Upper East Side. And now police and her family are trying to figure out who could have carried out this crime. We now go to Fox 5's Briella Tomasetti. She's live on the Upper East Side with the latest on this story. Good morning, Briella.
Yeah, good morning to the both of you, Tashani and Dan. Azsia Johnson left her mother's home to come live in a domestic violence shelter here in this very neighborhood out of fear for her own safety. And the person responsible for this, as you mentioned, he is still out there. This devastated community now calling on the shooter to turn himself into police.
I kept telling them he's threatening my daughter's life, and they didn't believe me. And now my daughter's dead.
Lisa DeSort, the heartbroken mother of 20-year-old Azsia Johnson, claims the system repeatedly failed her daughter until it was too late.
If you say somebody abused me and an officer doesn't believe you, and they say, let him take a walk, and he comes back an hour later and killed you, this is what happened to my daughter.
DeSort says Johnson made multiple domestic violence complaints to police and was even abused while she was pregnant. On Wednesday night, Johnson was shot and killed at point-blank range on East 95th Street while pushing her 3-month-old baby girl down the block in a stroller. Police say a man approached her from behind and pulled the trigger. The baby was unharmed.
This community is traumatized, our city's traumatized. This is what the fight is about, the guns on our street. This is what we've been talking about over and over again. These are real stories, real people who are losing their lives.
On Thursday morning, cops towed a Lexus SUV with a bullet hole above the front right wheel, parked overnight near the scene of the shooting. Julio Cruz, the car's owner, says he hopes the evidence will lead police to the shooter.
I come for move the car out for a little bit, and my surprise is when I come in, I saw the wreck moving my car out. So it's really a surprise when this happens.
At nightfall, family members, friends, and neighbors gathered for a vigil at the playground adjacent to where Johnson was gunned down in cold blood to honor her life and to shine a light on domestic violence.
I cannot profess to know what Azsia's mother feels like, but I can tell you this. I have a daughter, and that could have been my daughter. I don't know what I would do if I lost my daughter.
Make no mistake, you all can play a part.
Yes.
You can play a part. Yes, she's gone, but it's hope.
Yes.
And if you see something, what you gonna say?
Say something.
What you gonna do?
Do something.
And Mayor Adams reiterating at a press conference yesterday that authorities strongly believe Johnson was targeted and blindsided while walking here on this street. Again, though, authorities cannot confirm if there is a person of interest or anybody in custody or being questioned at this time. For now, it's the very latest live here on the Upper East Side. Dan, back inside to you.
Someone did it. Someone needs to be held responsible. Briella, thank you very much.
If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. Download the free Anchor app today or go to anchor.fm to get started. Okay, so our featured missing person for this week is Tiffany Starks-Foster. Now, I know I put Tiffany Foster Starks on the everywhere, but I was kind of, turned around because different places put different things. Anyway, she is missing from Georgia. From Coweta County, Georgia, to be exact. I found out about her case because she's actually a friend of mine's friend. She told me, as soon as she heard of it, she was like, hey, I need you to share this story for me. I have a friend that's missing. And I shared it when she asked me to, and I've been sharing it ever since, every time I think about it. I try to spread them out a little bit. But let's go ahead and let me tell you the details of her disappearance. So right now I'm looking at the latest article from the Telegraph. This looks like a news company in Macon, Georgia. And the article reads, Mom of 3 went shopping a year ago and hasn't been seen since, Georgia cops say. A Georgia mom left to run errands a year ago, and she's been missing ever since, officials said. 1 year later, deputies are still searching for clues about Tiffany Foster. The mother of 3 was last seen leaving her apartment on March 1st, 2021, according to family members in the Coweta County Sheriff's Office. At the time of her disappearance, officials said Foster was 35 years old and living in Noonan, roughly 40 miles southwest of Atlanta. She was also known as Tiffany Starks. In March 2021, she left on a shopping trip, but her fiance, Reginald Robertson, said he grew concerned when it was starting to get late In the coming hours and days, Foster didn't show up for a college class, her job, or a flight she had already booked. Her sister told WXIA, her sister identified by WXIA as Kimberly Bryan said it was unusual to lose contact with her. "She's my best friend," Bryan said, according to a Facebook video of a March 2021 news conference. "This has devastated our family. As you can imagine, no child should have to worry about where their mother is and the condition that their mother is." A week after Foster was last seen leaving her home, her car was found about 30 miles away in College Park. Her purse was inside. Toby Nix of the Coweta County Sheriff's Office said at the time. Then in April 2021, Robertson was arrested on kidnapping and assault charges. Deputies didn't share attorney information for him in a news release, but said the case was related to an incident that happened before Foster vanished. Robertson also was named a person of interest in the missing persons case, WAGA reported. As officials continue to try unraveling the mystery of Foster's disappearance, the sheriff's office in September announced a $35,000 reward for tips leading to an arrest or conviction. In a Facebook post marking the 1-year anniversary since Foster has been last seen, deputies asked everyone with information to call them at 770-253-1502. Again, that's 770-253-1502. Foster is described as a black woman who is 5 feet 2 inches tall and weighs 220 pounds. She has red hair and hazel eyes. So that was the last article that was published with all the information that was available. There isn't any other information available. However, what I do know is there is a Facebook group that's dedicated to her with, a lot of information in there that you guys can read. I don't want to share anything out the group because that's not my group to be doing that to. I don't know if they want anything shared out of there, but definitely join the Facebook group to keep with the updates. Let me find that group so I can go ahead and tell you guys what it's called. Tiffany. All right, so that group is called Searching for Tiffany Foster. So yeah, go ahead and join that group. If you guys see the posts about her, share them out to your family and friends. It doesn't matter where you are. Share it because you don't know where she could be. So that's all for today for our missing persons. I'm going to be recording again in a few days, so go ahead and stay tuned for that. I really do hope they find Tiffany alive and well. I'm going to go ahead and share her story again today, too, on the page. But I do hope they find Tiffany alive and well. I send my prayers out to her family, especially to her children, because I wouldn't know what I would be like if my mama was missing. Lord Jesus, I wouldn't. And I'm grown. But I do hope they find her. So I send out my prayers to everyone. And I will see you guys next time. Thanks for listening to the Murder Files with me, Buffy Gunner. If you like what you just heard, I hope you'll pass along my website address, illicitdeeds.com, to your family and friends. And please leave us a positive review wherever you're listening. Be sure to share this episode to your timeline and check me out on social media at Illicit Deeds. This has been an Illicit Deeds production. Join me next time for another episode of The Murder Files.